This is a message to all my supporters of this podcast. I'm introducing a new supporters program. You can contribute a small amount as a one-off payment to show your love for this podcast. Thank you in advance for all your contributions.
News, laws, and regulations are changing by the day. We get it. It's hard to stay on top of it all. That's why ADP is here to guide you with up-to-the-minute compliance expertise to help you navigate these complex times so you can pay your people accurately and on time, regardless of changes in legislation. When you rely on us for payroll and HR, you're trusting us to help you take care of your people. It's what we've been doing for over 70 years, and that's not about to change. ADP, HR talent, time, benefits, and payroll, informed by data and designed for people.
This is the Absolute Business Mindset podcast, created and hosted by Mark Hayward. I am a corporate employee with an entrepreneurial mindset. This podcast will help and support you with new ideas about business. These are my thoughts, ideas, and comments. Today I'm going to talk about the Rugby World Cup and about the lessons you can learn from playing rugby union. This is coming from my experience as playing rugby when I was a younger kid and equally watching and observing how it's played now. So hopefully you enjoy the podcast and you can find it relating to your world. That would be great. Thanks. Hi everyone, it's Mark Hayward from the Absolute Business Mindset podcast. So today I'm going to talk about the lessons that you can learn from playing rugby or being involved in rugby. We're currently in the 2019 World Cup rugby tournament. And I'm talking about rugby because of my experience of playing it when I was a younger kid, and also observing it and seeing the qualities that maybe rugby has that football, soccer doesn't have, and I think it gives a nice contrast because I've talked about football and other types of business, and I just wanted to touch base as it was very topical in the middle of the Rugby World Cup. So the first thing, I've got 10 points. The first point is the preparation of the teams. I think this is a lot of it. Work is done by the coaches and the diligence and the studying that they do of their opponents and their own team to be able to deliver and be successful. I think is incredibly important. You can learn great habits from working hard, working diligently, understanding your opposition, understanding your own team and the strengths that they have. So it's great to be prepared. And if you're preparing for a demo or a presentation or something like that, preparation is key. So it's always important to be prepared. So I think that's one of the things. It's drilled into teams in play rugby how to act, and that it comes from practice. So practice is critically important. Second point is, on the flip side of that, you prepare for your team, but also you've got to think on your feet, on your own feet. You've got to be able to think off the cuff and think of, although have drilled in routines that you have and habits, equally you need to think on the top, off the cuff and being able to think on one's feet. You need to be able to do that. So it's important to have that balance between the two. You need to be able to think on one's feet, so it's really important to do that. Number 3 is dedication. So if you see some of these, there's a Welsh guy who's a big, tall Welsh guy called Alan Wynne-Jones, and the guy looks like he's dedicated himself to rugby. He's got thinning hair, beaten up ears. He's a tall guy, really strong, but there has to be an element of dedication if you're able to play at that level for as long as he has. He's played at 135 caps, which is very impressive, very, very impressive. So there's got to be dedication if you're going to be successful in rugby in the long term. Right, number 4, teamwork. So it's important to work as a team. I have the flip side of that on number 5, and we'll come back to that, is individual skills. So you've got to work as a team. You've got to know your skills and know your abilities and what you need to do and how you work best with other people in the team. So that's what teamwork. You need to be able to know your skills, know your abilities, and be able to play towards them. And there should be an equal balance between some guys that are good at fast-paced stuff, some guys at slower-paced stuff, stronger, weaker, whatever it is. So you've got to be able to work as a team, but equally there's got to be they call it flair in rugby, with this sort of ability to be able to do the unknown or something different, to be able to use your individual skills to be able to score a try or to win a match. So I think it's critically important that you have both. You both have teamwork, and you equally have individual skills to be able to win matches. Number 6 is travelling. So this is something that a lot of sports people in all sports do, but rugby teams do just as much. They travel all over the world. I think it's made the sport more marketable to different countries. We just had the World Cup in Japan, or having the World Cup in Japan, and that has definitely influenced a lot of people that Japan should or could be entering the sort of tier 1, the Englands, the New Zealands, the Australia, the South Africa, etc. So travel is massively important to rugby, and being able to spread its wings further than the current teams that they have now. So, for example, Argentina was not a tier 1 country, but they performed well at a couple of World Cups, and now have got into a championship with South Africa and Australia and New Zealand. So number 7 is competition. So you've got to be competitive. You've got to be one of the great things about rugby is the competitive vibe between them. So it's critically important that competition is part of sport always, and part of rugby. Number 8 is physical strength. So you need to be physically strong to be able to be successful in rugby. Physical strength is probably more important than other sports, because you've got to be strong, you've got to be determined, you've got to be really built, really solid to be able to play rugby at the highest level these days. Number 9 is mental strength. So to couple with your physical strength, you've got to also be mentally strong as well. There's a lot of pressure that is in rugby matches in the World Cup. There's a lot of decisions that you're talking fine lines between making one decision and the other decision to be able to win a match. Mental strength and physical strength, you need both abundantly to be able to be successful. So really, really important for a lesson to learn from rugby. And number 10, you've got to be the best. If you want to be the best, you need to play the best and beat the best to be able to win the World Cup. I think it's critically important that everyone remembers that to be the best is the most important thing. And equally, be the best you. Slightly different from being the best, but I think one of the lessons that I've learned recently for a while is that you've got to be the best you. So you've got to deliver the best person that you can be. Right, so they're the 10 things that you can learn from the Rugby World Cup. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Just to check in, love to get your feedback, love to get your ideas on the podcast, on the YouTube, what you like, what you don't like, what you want to stop, start and continue. So I would love to get your feedback. The email address is absolutebusinessmindset@gmail.com. I would love to get your feedback on that. That would absolutely be fantastic. And equally, I have a 15 ways to run a project, which is available for anyone who emails me and requests it. I will then send that. It's completely free. I will send that straight back to you, and that will be a sort of gift that for you to be able to learn the 15 ways of being able to run a project according to me. Because I've run projects, I've dealt with people, I've dealt with the stakeholders, I've dealt with all the aspects of project management, so I will be able to give you key skills to be able to deliver. So please email me on that as well, and I will send that back as soon as possible. Right, thank you very much, guys. Enjoy that. I'll speak to you later.